Hi, everybody, and welcome to this mini Instagram sensitivity summit where we're exploring all things sensitive in many different ways with some beautiful guests, friends, and colleagues of mine. And today I want to introduce you to Julianne Castellano, who's speaking to us from the Caribbean. Welcome, Julianne.
Hi, it's so nice to be here with you, Myree.
It's such a delight for me, and I'm really excited to learn from you and to pull apart what it's like to be a successful sensitive in the world. And for everyone here who this is maybe the first time you've met Julianne and I met on the sacred, magical, mystical island of Mallorca last year doing Kundalini yoga teacher training, and we just hit it off instantly.
Yeah, that was so fun, and it was like such a delight to hear from you almost a year later, and now being able to work together in assisting both of us in our journeys of business and life and spirituality. I really feel blessed to have come upon you in this lifetime, and I feel that also we've probably come upon each other in many other lifetimes before.
I'm sure that's true. And Julianne, do you want to share a little bit about what you offer people in the world and the kind of way you guide people in life?
Yeah, for sure. I will say that it's ever changing constantly. But I do feel like I'm getting to a point where the theme and what I'm doing is staying consistent. And what I do with people, both on a one-on-one basis and sometimes in an organizational sense, where I'll go and work with an organization, is I help them to understand the energetic flow of their business and how it is affecting their bottom line and how it's affecting them from doing those big things that they want to do. So expanding, getting a bigger audience, creating an online community, all of these big things that feel scary or people aren't sure how they're going to undertake them. People happen to find me, and it's usually through word of mouth because I have been like kind of anti-website for far too long. I will, call myself out on that. But working with people just to see the potential of what's there. I'm a very intuitive person. I have always been, and I really feel empowered in helping people with their businesses. And I also feel that it empowers them to begin to see things in a different way. So I really just offer that. I hold the space and I help you to see, hey, what about that? What about this? What's going on there? How can we change that so that we can, unlock the key to flowing the energy in that part of your business or whatever it may be. So yeah, that's what I do.
And in many ways, the people you specialize in supporting are often sensitive.
Yeah, just by luck, probably because I am, so I'm probably attracting them to me. Yeah, number of people I've worked with have been sensitive, and those that aren't, we don't always stay together for very long, to be honest.
Right. And so can you speak a little bit about what it's like for you to be a sensitive person? Like, how does that show up for you?
Yeah. Well, in one word, I will tell you that it's difficult. And it's always been that way. But I think as I've gotten older and I've begun to understand what it is and seeing, oh, this is actually a superpower, but it's a little bit on the difficult end to unlock how this can be a superpower in my life. Oftentimes it shows up as being overly emotional or retreating for long periods of time and people not really understanding me or understanding what I'm doing. And, the emotionality part of it can be really hard to deal with because I am not being emotional to somebody to hurt them or bring them down, or I'm not expressing emotion for that reason. But I think I've grown up in a society where like emotion bad and no emotion good. But I've always like had so much emotion running through me that it was very hard to ever be in that position where I could just ignore things. Like if there's something going on, like I'm like the canary in the coal mine, like you're going to know about it when I'm around. And even, I don't even have to say it sometimes. Sometimes it's just physically like my presence, and I'll reflect something to somebody that they see in me that has more to do with them. And, you know, it can just create it can create tension in my life, to be honest. But learning more how to work with it has been, you know, just a gift, and being given permission to, hey, you're sensitive. It's cool. You know, you just got to adjust a little bit, has been truly a gift too.
It's so interesting to hear you talk about emotionality. I know when I went to America, I come from, so as an Australian, we're a lot more there's more space to show emotion and be a little bit sort of emotionally messy. And there's a lot of kind of love and compassion and forgiveness around that. And when I went to America, I was like, oh, you can't do that here.
Yeah. I remember clearly my 5th grade teacher, and I loved her. Like, she's like one of those teachers you're like really excited to have that teacher. And in the middle of the year, she like sat me down and she said, like, you just can't be so sensitive about everything. You have to have tougher skin. You're not going to make it in life being that way. And, you know, that calloused me almost instantly for years and years. You know, someone that you respect and love, you know, it doesn't have anything to do with my parents, but it also has a lot to do with them. But, you know, but hearing it from an outside person, like, oh crap, like, okay, I guess I have to fix this. And it felt like something I always had to fix about myself.
Right. That's it's in a way, many ways, but when we're children, sensitivity at some point becomes wrong. It's like unacceptable. It's a mistake. You have to hide it and conceal it. And that becomes really injurious to our soul.
Yeah. It's an inconvenience. It's an inconvenience for everyone around. But for you, what I failed to realize as a young person is I'm releasing right now. Like I am actually doing what I'm supposed to be doing right now. And to feel like that dissonance between what I'm doing and what I feel like I'm supposed to be doing, that living in that gray area is so painful.
Yeah, the tension between that, the tension between who you're supposed to be and who you know yourself to be and what's trying to happen and evolve and express inside as a sensitive person, that dissonance can be extremely painful.
Yeah. You know too. I know that you know too.
I do. In fact, one of the things I know about that is that often in a room where something's going on, right? We've all been in a room where something's going down and no one's talking about it. And there'll be the sensitive person in the room and they're feeling the whole thing. And it's all running through their body, and maybe they don't know exactly what that is, but they just want to say it, right?
Yeah. And I've been really good at just saying it, sometimes to my detriment. So most of the time to my detriment, to be honest. But then also beginning to attract people into my circle that are like, yeah, you know what? You speak the truth. I like you, you know, and realizing that that's just kind of like a part of it. But it's like you feel it right here. Like it's it's almost like you have to just throw it up. Like it's that concept of word vomit. Like that's what it feels like. And that's why I think it's probably called that. It's just like, here it is, you know? Yeah.
Totally. I was just waiting. So anyone who's watching this, Julianne's in the Caribbean and the internet is sometimes slows down a little bit. So I was just waiting for her to catch up. So you may see that happen a little bit in this interview.
Yeah.
And Julianne, we've kind of already jumped into some of the questions I was going to ask you. Is there anything else you'd like to say about how it was like growing up as a sensitive person?
When I reflect on it now, realizing the gifts that I have, I oftentimes wish I could go back to that little girl and like flip her, like just flip the situation around, you know? I was in a very dark place for a very long time. And, I think that the biggest thing I would take away from it, and being, growing up sensitive, being sensitive in this here and now, is opening up to it was actually the way out of it.
Right. Can you say a little bit more about that? That's so deeply important.
Yeah, opening up to it is the way out of it. The way out of it. Well, I mean, a big piece of it, I will be honest too, Myree, like you integrated a large piece for me, and I don't even know if you are aware. But I had been working with energy and energy work 3 or 4 years at this point. And when you are working with energy and you're working with like duality of things, so like light and dark, there's things that are on two polar opposites. And then I go into, how do I tap into like the magic, or how do I tap into the healing, and how do I tap into the dharma that lives within me. And it was just, I had to just be blown open. Like I had to like cry, or I had to like take a bolster and like bang it around, or I had to like have, a blowout with my husband, like just like arguing with him. And he's so good. He just takes it. All right, are you done? He just takes it. Okay, are you done? But it's just realizing and communicating that to people in my life too. So as I started to realize I'm working with energy, and I didn't necessarily even know it was a sensitive thing right away, but I'm working with energy, and I start to inform people, hey, I might have, these instances where you just don't understand me. Can you just hold on for like, a day, maybe a week, and like, let me just reemerge, because that's a part of my process. That's a part of me getting to my genius. That's a part of me being all in, all there with you. And just having people who understand that, and, caveating that in all of the work that I do. It's like, I'm holding gracious space for you, but there's also this process I have to go through to like birth all of the goodness that is going to come through for you and for me in our relationship working together.
Wow, that's really powerful. So what you are talking about is really framing for people that when you're birthing something, it can be painful and difficult and confusing, and you're wrestling with bringing something from the other side of the veil into this world.
Yeah, it's work. It's work. You don't just sit on a thing and say Om Shanti and like everything comes out. It doesn't work that way. Like it's truly work. And when I think that there's no more work, there's more work, and it reveals itself to you in situations and in relationships, and your relationship to all things around you. And being okay too with like being not okay. And being in that stage of, I don't want to sound like a psychopath, but like being in that stage of like kind of just wacko, and like, what am I getting out of this? What am I getting out of this? Like just being in it, like, okay, whatever, I'm just gonna be in it, and just like dancing with it and being with it fully. And trusting deeply, trusting that this is my process. This is the divine process that has led me here, and it will continue to hold me as I move forward. And that just comes with practice. It didn't happen for me all at once. I think that there was many instances, even recently, where I was like, what am I doing wrong? Like, why can't people just like me? Or like, why can't things just happen like XYZ reason? And kind of coming back to that, and especially in working with you, no, I'm just sensitive, and I'm gonna be in a different plane of existence, and that's a beautiful plane of existence to be in.
And you named something so beautiful there, that as sensitives and people that are often moving between different realms and worlds, that can feel like a very uncertain place. And
Yeah.
there's no roadmap, there's no guidebook. We have to build it ourselves and almost build our own temple and knowing of what it's like to enter into that liminal space and come out again. I thank you for speaking to something that's not really shared about very often, but is so essential as a sensitive. And I imagine many sensitives listening to this call would have some relationship to being in those shaky places where you can't conform or fit, and you have to do it your way, be this unique creature that you are, listen to your soul, surrender, and then return.
Yeah. You hold it close, set the intention, and then let it go. And yeah, I mean, it's such a gift. It's so magic. And I just want to also say that while it is challenging, you don't need to know every single step you're about to take. You just need to know the next one. You just need to know the next one. And then once you're on that step, you know, the next one appears. Reminds me of like one of those old games where you would like be Super Mario Brothers, and he's like on the track, but you can only see like this much of the track until he's there, and then you see the next part. It's a lot like that for me. And getting into that cadence of, I'm not going to know all 50 steps. I'm literally just going to know the next one, and I have to be okay with that.
Yeah, totally. And Julianne, in your work, because Julianne's also a yoga teacher as well as working in marketing, social media, and business development. In your work a lot, you mention radiance. Can you share a little bit more about what that means for you?
Yeah, I can. Radiance is the ability for you to shine your brightest, but also create a layer of protection over yourself. So I'm a Kundalini yoga teacher, just like you. And the Kundalini yoga is a yoga for the radiant body. The radiant body is the shield. It's also connected deeply to that hard work that you do in your life. And it's built and strengthened from that place. You know, showing up every day to do your meditation, or going on your, you know, mile walk every day, whatever it is that you do every day that challenges you, that's what's going to make your radiant body stronger. And it also calls beautiful things to you without you having to try too hard. And I've seen that. I'm now almost at a year straight practicing Kundalini yoga, and I'm now just seeing in the last few months, like, oh, all of those things I've been putting out into the universe are boomeranging back now. So it's a deep trust and understanding, you know, when those beautiful cosmic things are happening in your life, like, what is this coming from? Not leaving things that like it was just a coincidence or it just happened just because. Like, no, it happened because of something that you did for yourself to strengthen yourself. And like, let's recognize what that thing is so that we can celebrate it and do it more. And if you don't know, that's okay. But you know, it's the hard work. You know, when people ask me, do I have to do Kundalini yoga? I say, no, but you need to be doing something every day that challenges you to the same capacity that Kundalini yoga does, whatever that looks like for you. Yeah.
Totally. I know exactly what you're talking about with Kundalini yoga. I know when I started to do it, like the moment I started to do it, I felt my whole energetic system reorganized in a way that was much more effective to me. And it was, as a person and a highly sensitive and psychic being, it was like the next piece in the puzzle to making me more durable and resilient and magnetic in the world. And I became addicted.
Yeah, no, totally. I don't know if I ever told you about my first Kundalini yoga class, but I was in Thailand and it was taught to me by a German guy. And I didn't know what the heck we were doing. Like, I just showed up. It was actually funny. Me and my Australian friends that I had met there were like, oh, let's go. That's funny. It sounds funny, you know, drinking the night before and like going to some German-led Kundalini yoga class. But the moment that he played the gong, my mind was gone. Like, it was gone in the most beautiful way. And I didn't start teaching until 2 or 3 years after that. I didn't really even start practicing deeply until 2 or 3 years after that. But it was, yeah, that missing piece. And I didn't realize it even at the time, but so grateful for that moment that brought me to this practice specifically.
Yeah, it is. It's that moment when you recognize, wow, this practice itself, this technology is so potent.
Yeah.
And I want to ask you also, in your work, you see a lot, and I see this a lot, and it's part of why I want to teach this beautiful course I've got coming up in September around sensitivity, is because I see a lot of sensitives that are so gifted and they get to the edge of what they're here to offer and they waver there. And I want to help all those sensitives that you know what I'm talking about, who are
Yeah.
wavering on the edge of putting their gifts, their beauty, their offerings, their teachings, their healing, their writing, their leadership, their whatever it is that they're doing, their creativity into the world. That's really a big part of my mission. And I know a lot of sensitives say to me, I'm too scared to do social media, or social media is like overwhelming for me. Like,
Mhm.
what do you notice about sensitives and social media?
Yeah. Well, I'll speak from my perspective and a little bit from what I've noticed in working from other people, but mostly from me. So right before this call, I had this realization that, oh crap, I'm like talking tomorrow on a Zoom and I have to make a post and I haven't made a post. Oh my gosh, I tell people to make posts and I didn't do it. And so I'm out in the garden, like recording myself to like make this post and just feeling all of this crap come up, really. Just like, oh, my hair looked weird, like it had a weird thing, I'm not going to do it. I think the biggest thing that sensitives do, because we are so aware, we nitpick ourselves to death about it. Like, does that actually work or does it not actually work? And then we just get into this whole like mind boggling, like, where is this going? Who's seeing this? Like, this whole conceptualization, when in reality, here's the trick to social media that nobody will teach you. You just have to show up. You just have to show up. It doesn't matter how you show up. It doesn't matter when you show up. It just matters that you show up, you know, and you share the message that you need to share in that moment. And sometimes you might need to step into the social media land with a layer of protection on. And you have to become aware of what happens to you the moment that you open up that app. Okay, because you're either doing two things: you're creating or you're consuming. And if you get into a consuming mode, or you start getting consumed by something that's telling you what you should be doing or shouldn't be doing, then it's okay. It's time to step away. We need to get clear before you even step into the app. What are we going to do when we open it up, and what's the purpose? I also find that if you're somebody who needs to keep a business going, having a schedule, having content on the back end that's like kind of ready to go, like plug and play, maybe fun quotes or whatever it may be, just to kind of fill in the gaps where, you know, you're maybe having your day where you need to like go throw around a bolster out in the garden, and that's what you're doing today, you know? And another piece is just allowing yourself to be real there. Real. Like, you know, do you have the courage to like take a video of yourself throwing around the bolster in the garden? Do you have the courage to do that, you know? And looking at it from a sense of curiosity, right? Like, yeah, maybe your mom's going to see it, your grandma's going to see it, your cousin's going to see it, but those people aren't paying you. They're not the ones who are running your business. In fact, your business is its own entity. So how do you continue to show up for that? And I think for me, what's helped me a lot is I've found my edge and I've pushed it. Like, I've hit that barrier and I've done it. So I'm afraid of lives. Okay, I'm afraid of lives for how long? Okay, let's just do lives for 30 days. Or something that I did right before 2020 started was I did 30 days of like video recordings on my Instagram where I just talked about a random thing every day. I will say that pre-recorded videos are much more anxiety-inducing, and it's much easier for you to nitpick yourself apart. So if you can, just throwing yourself on live, showing up with your authenticity, maybe having a couple of notes, and just going from there, and sharing from the heart, and knowing, taking that sense of psychicness into the social media space, and this isn't even really something I've talked to you about, Myree, but understanding that even if they don't like, they don't comment, they don't share, they don't say anything, there are people watching you. There are people watching you, and can you psychically tap into those people? Can you tap into what those people are needing? Can you tap into what they are needing support with? Can you tap into how they're feeling? Can you get their feedback without actually getting their feedback? All those questions are, yes, you can. You just have to begin to apply that there. And yeah, creating boundaries for yourself around it, I think, is really helpful. I try not to get onto my phone 2 hours before waking up. I don't get on any screens. Well, not before. After waking up, I don't get on any screens. And 2 hours before going to bed, I don't get on any screens either. That's been super helpful for me. I also take a full day off of screens on Sunday when I can. So, you know, understanding what is your capacity to hold the technology so that you can have a really fruitful relationship with the technology. Yeah.
There's so many amazing tips in there. I could pull them all apart. Can you say a little bit more about having your own relationship with the technology and the platform?
Yeah, for sure. So just as you exist as your own entity and like your business or whatever, you know, your creation is existing in its own entity, Facebook has its own entity, Instagram and Twitter and YouTube, they all have their, you know, they all have their different vibes about them, if you will. And when you enter the platform, being just very aware of how you feel when you're there and how you need to show up there. Like, what is it that you actually need to do? Like, do you need to have like a tick off list for every time you get onto Facebook? What are the 5 things that I do every time I get on Facebook to keep yourself really organized and clear on what you're doing there? Do you need to have a timer when you go on TikTok? That's something I do for TikTok. I can be on there for hours, so I put a little timer on as soon as I open it, and then I get off after that. Because it also feels really, or at least in my sense, it feels really bad when like I've let the platform take my power away. Like, I don't feel great about that, and it makes me feel like, do I even want to show up there? It's almost like showing up to a party where like they all made fun of you and threw you in the pool. And I don't know, I have all these analogies today, but it's like showing up to the party where you don't like, it's all the cool kids and you're not a cool kid. And you create that environment for yourself when you continually overpass your boundaries with each of the platforms. So you need to understand what that is and hold it firm. Is that helpful?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think for many sensitive people, I think the platform, if you're not careful, can be disempowering because most social media is very extrovert dominated and very loud. It's very dominated by noise and loud and bigness. And highly sensitive people are often, not always, but a lot gentler or quieter, and it takes them longer to bring that kind of power and that secret and that gift forward. And to see people just, wow, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Yeah, like it does support more of that kind of extroverted nature. And so one of the things I've been curious about is how to bring more of that kind of sensitive style into social media.
Yeah, well, that's a really good point. And I will say, like, while you were talking about this, this came through to me, is like the people who are extroverted and they do that still requires a lot of energy. Okay, so when you enter into this space with you're a sensitive person, you have to have all these protections and understand your boundaries, but you also still have to show up with the energy to be there. And that doesn't mean like, you know, like doing all this crazy stuff. It just means simply that you bring your full presence, you bring your full auric presence, you bring your radiant body with you, having connection to it so you can understand, when I'm talking to the screen, I'm projecting my goodness, I'm projecting holiness, I'm projecting light into this atmosphere that I am entering, and being very clear that that is what you're doing, even if it doesn't feel or doesn't look as grandiose as, you know, someone else. And Yeah, and it doesn't need to. It doesn't need to. I think a big superpower of mine is that I've shown up when it feels good, and I don't show up when it doesn't feel good, you know? And like when you have a business to run, that can be a really hard principle to apply. So that's why I say, you know, show up with some extra posts in the back of your you know, your backpack, so that you can have some emergency fuel there when you need it. But creating environments for yourself that are supportive of that. And you know what? Don't engage with people who make you feel weird. You know, delete them, unfollow them, block them. If you keep going to their page, definitely block them. Because the mind loves, and I don't know if this is my own conceptualization and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but like the mind loves to tell you you're not good enough. It loves to tell you, no, stay there. That's safe. You stay in the safe place. And you have to have that energy so you can be stronger than that, and you can transform and transmute that into something beautiful. It's truly spiritual work. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I know, because when I show up on social media, like I have to watch my critic, because I think that social media can be a really fertile place to feed our inner critic. And my critic is generally pretty quiet, but I notice sometimes on social media, like it likes to tell me you're not very animated, or you're, do you know what I mean? You're too kind of quiet. Do you know what I mean? It's like got this like gold standard of the extrovert, and then here's this kind of deep, expansive kind of awakening being that's showing up on social media that isn't at this gold standard. And my critic goes, get
Yeah, like it pushes you. Like you're like, I know that I could be here at a higher capacity or whatever it may be. But you know, if you're helping one person, cool, you won. That was all you needed to do, you know, and everything else beyond that is just bonus. So, you know, setting your expectations to be you triumphing over you. Like if you weren't on social media at all and now all of a sudden you're there, like pat on the back, keep going, sis. You know, that doesn't need to necessarily always be this competition, but social media creates that. So just being very aware, right? Like this is telling me that I need to look like that, and I actually don't. And it's catching yourself in that thought pattern, so you can flip it around at that time. I don't know if you're familiar with like NLP, but it's very similar in that way, where you are working in your timeline at that moment, and you have the ability to rewrite that story right then. So, you know, having the confidence and the wherewithal to kind of go in there, both feet on the ground, boundaries intact, radiant body going. And I'm just here. I'm here to share my message. I'm here with a mission, and not being afraid to let those people go who don't support that. And that's probably the biggest piece. Letting go of the old perception of who you were, or that constant changing, or today I'm showing up and I'm just in bed, and that's maybe weird for some people. And you know what, they can go if they don't support me in that, like it's cool, you know?
Totally.
Yeah.
And one thing that I do say to people on social media is, if there is a lot of competitiveness, and you can feel that from someone. I don't know if you notice that, like when someone's competitive, even if they're writing something that's very loving and giving and generous, if the underlying energy is competitive, or I'm better than you, or I'm going to try and be better than you, that's going to make us feel bad, even if what they're writing is about love and kindness and goodness. And so I just want to let sensitives know that you're going to feel that. Like you're going to feel if someone's competing with you, no matter what the frame is on the front. A sensitive person, I mean, we all read, but a sensitive person is going to read really accurately what's going on behind, and the dissonance between the presentation and the energy that's coming through that post. You're going to feel the difference. And just to notice and trust yourself, what am I feeling or experiencing here when I'm with that post or that person?
Yeah. Yes. So true. And you don't even need to know what's in between of the dissonance. Like, you just need to know how deep it goes. That's how you can begin to kind of navigate yourself on there, right? And it can be scary to connect with new people, but I've met some of the most amazing people from Instagram or Facebook or, you know, wherever it may be. And just being open to that, just how you would be in real life. Um, Pretending as if, you know, looking at the discovery page or looking at something new is like you walking into a coffee shop and saying hello to somebody that's sitting there on their computer. It's a beautiful way to connect. And I think it does come with a lot of responsibility, but I think that with that being said, I think we're ready to rise into that, and we're ready to stop letting these platforms totally take over us. You know, we talked about this a little bit, but I want to talk about it a little bit now, of like being shadow banned on Instagram or in Facebook. How long does that last? Why does it happen? It happens for many different reasons, but me and Myree, we've been working together. I'm noticing like I'm getting shadow banned here and there. I'm a yoga teacher, it says it on my bio, and you're noticing very similar. And you have to ask yourself, why is this happening? And it's definitely not about you. So let's look up at the bigger picture. Okay, well, Facebook's lost a lot of money in ads recently because a lot of big companies pulled money from them. And, you know, now they're going after trying to get these people who are bringing goodness into the world into a space where, you know, crap, I like need people to be able to see my stuff so that they will, you know, so that they'll be able to purchase things and help, you know, expand themselves into a new reality for themselves. And I can offer that. So also understanding that Facebook isn't the end all be all, Instagram's not the end all be all, there isn't one thing, but if I could leave you with any sort of tip marketing wise is make an email list. Make an email list, please, for the love of God, even if you don't even know what you're doing, even if you only are going to have 10 people on the list, be able to reach out to your people when you need to the most, and have that be something that you have control over. Because there's going to be situations where your control, your power is going to be taken away in these platforms, and you have to just work with it and know it's not about you. It's like, this is about a bigger picture thing. This is about dark and light. It always is. And, you know, how can I continue to work with this given the circumstances that I'm becoming aware of?
Yeah, thank you for speaking to that, to the shadow side of the social media platforms. And one last thing on social media, Julianne, if someone was being brave and they were contemplating and about to put themselves on a social media platform, what tip or little pep talk would you give them?
I would encourage them to pick a platform that feels really juicy, like somewhere where they can really be all them. So maybe that's Reddit. Maybe it's you like anonymity. Is that how you say the word? Anonymity. You like to be anonymous. And playing with that for a while, and, you know, working with that until you need to try something else. But I think just start in one, dip your toes. There's so many out there. There's platforms out there that are, you know, small user bases that nobody really knows about or uses yet. Consider those, because your voice and you being comfortable in the platform, regardless of what the platform is, you being comfortable and coming to it from a sense of empowerment is going to be the magic that kind of like ripples the message out. Is you having that behind you as you step in and as you you get big and you stop playing small.
Beautiful. Thank you. That's such a beautiful offer to sensitives. And sensitive folks, you can do this. You can find a way that's aligned and unique and resonant and genuine for yourself to be able to step out on social media. I'm exploring myself, and one of the things that I ask myself when I post something is it coming from my heart? And is it aligned with who I am? And if it's not, I can't put it out there. And that's a question I ask before I post anything, because that's the thing I'm testing myself on. How congruent can I be when I step out on social media? I've got so much more to say because I found it so interesting exploring
Yeah.
social media as an introvert and a sensitive and a sort of also someone who's been through an awakening process. The last thing maybe I'd like to say about it before we sort of move towards the end of this conversation, it's something I actually want to write about on Instagram, is most of my successes come from not belonging, right? I have not chased people's approval. I only chase what's right for me and how I'm called to show up, no matter how weird that is or how strange that is or how out there, because I don't have any other choice, because that's who I am. And that's what resonates with people. And then suddenly I find myself on Instagram or Facebook where it's about, there's this kind of thing about chasing likes and
Popularity crew.
Oh,
Come sit with the cool kids.
Exactly. And I'm really kind of sitting in that, like that segue between how those two, how being very focused on not belonging to belong in a way. So I focus on what's me that doesn't necessarily belong, and then those that I belong to come to. And so I guess I'm exploring how that also shows up on Instagram.
Yeah. And it happens in beautiful, magical ways. Like at the beginning of quarantine, I did a Facebook Live one day talking about breathing. I don't know what I was talking about. I was definitely in a completely different state of mind than I am now. And one of my students that I had never met before was on that Facebook Live, and now she comes to every single one of my classes. She experienced me for like a minute or two, and then she showed up, and she kept showing up. So it's also about trusting that the person on the other side is going to do what's right for them right now in this moment, and giving them the avenues to do so in a way that's empowering for them. You know, so I talked a little bit about the beginning of like, I'm kind of like anti-website. Like I just haven't done it yet. But then in a lot of I haven't done it yet because I've been battling with a lot of what we've been talking about right now. And then when I'm thinking about this, it's like, no, I have to do it because it's not about me. It's about giving those people the opportunity to further on their journey. And if they are looking to do that with me, then great. But I don't choose if they click on something. I don't choose if they sign up for something. I don't have that power. I just have the power to create the avenue for them to get there. You know, we're all bridges in our own right. So do you want to be a bridge that stands tall, that's able to hold semi trucks and, you know, hold anything? Or, you know, do you want to be a bridge that's kind of like, you know, trying to figure it out? And I'm moving in the direction of like strong, tall bridge, you know. But sometimes we start out as those like rinky-dink ones where like it's kind of like the mapping of the bridge, and just being okay with that. Okay, let's see how this is going to go, and playing with it, having fun with it. And empowering people to do what is right for them. And you do that by doing what is right for you and just staying clear, kind of like a tunnel vision, but also being aware because you're sensitive. So you have all that, but you can still stay here. It's just about training yourself to get there.
Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you so much. This has been such an amazing conversation, and really we're just scratching the surface of what it's like to be a sensitive on social media. And so I hope for everyone who's listening, this has given you a few ideas or a little bit of encouragement, or fertilized a little bit more confidence that if you feel called to share your message and your vision, your teaching, or just how you feel about things or what it's like in your experience of the world, that you can step out and share that on social media.
Yeah. And you can do it.
Yeah, you can. And I think we're almost at the end of our time together. So I had some more questions, but I might leave them for another occasion.
Okay.
And just want to finish by asking you, how is sensitivity part of your beauty?
How is sensitivity a part of my beauty? We can go back to that situation where I, you know, have my blowout with my husband, and he can just like look at me like, she's gonna get through this. And knowing that I'm carrying that in my aura as well. you know, of like, I might be breaking down in this moment, but I know in my aura and I know in my long term that I am strong and I'm getting through this. And that to me is so beautiful. Strength is a beauty. You know, being able to pick yourself back up when you fall down is beauty. Being able to say, hey, I think I messed up. I'm sorry. That's beauty. Surrendering, being able to let go of everything, non-attachment, that's beauty. And I wouldn't have learned any of those things nearly as quickly as, and knowing them very intimately like I do, without having that sensitivity in my aura and who I am and what I do. So yeah, everyone is beautiful. Everyone, even, I want to share this because I feel it needs to be shared here. One of my YTT sisters, my yoga teacher training sisters, I did a very like open healing process yoga teacher training where it's very journaling, crying, all the, you name it. We did all of it. And I saw one of my sisters, she was just crying in her Instagram stories, just like bawling, like full on, fully there, all the way there. And the next day she wrote in her stories, like, you know, thank you so much to everybody who reached out to me. She was just feeling the pressures of COVID. People sent her money, people sent her, resources. Like, she got the help she needed. And being able to say, hey, I'm here. I need the help. I need it. That's beautiful. That's so beautiful. You know, I'm so open to witnessing people in that. And, you know, if people close off to you because you're in that, they just haven't been able to recognize that level of beauty in themselves yet. And you just hold that intention for them, you know?
It's beautiful. You're speaking to how vulnerability is such a profound and powerful element, and the ability to be vulnerable of being sensitive, and how sensitive people are really leaders in that capacity to be vulnerable and to share from that place.
Yeah,
Thank you so
exactly.
much, Julianne. Can you say a little bit about if people want to hang out with you or follow you or like listen to Julianne on lives, where can they find Julianne Castellano?
Yeah, you can find me on facebook.com/Juliann, JULIANN.yoga. So that's my Facebook business page. And I'm also on Instagram. I'm Juliann, JULIANN.MARIE, Juliann.Myree. And I share there when it feels good to share there. I'm really looking forward to using the platforms more deeply as I continue to heal and integrate this piece of myself. And right now I don't have the capacity to take on long-term clients, but I do take one-on-one sessions right now. So if that's something that interests you, just send me a message and we can set it up. We can talk about your business. We can talk about what you're working through with social media. Everybody's different, you know? So I encourage you to really find the person who can help you. Maybe it's not me, but I think a big part of being sensitive is I was like, no, nobody else can help me except for myself. And I knew that that was a deep truth. But when I was able to open up to other people and them giving perspective to me, that was deeply healing. So if you're kind of teetering in that, like, do I need to talk to someone? Then you probably do. So find the person that works for you, and I'm open for that. But just knowing that getting support also is a great way to step into this power that we're talking about here today, in whatever capacity that shows up.
Fantastic. And I can truly say that Julianne is a really amazing leader in the social media dance for us sensitives. So thank you everyone for, I hope you found this exploration of sensitivity really rich and delicious, and we're going to explore with other people over the next week. The reason that I'm really called to do this is I'm here to support you as a sensitive person to feel safe and protected and empowered in the world, and to be able to claim all of your gifts, your beauty, your wisdom, your knowing, And all of these really sensitive, subtle ways of knowing that you have in your life, so that you can not only draw on them and how they guide you, but you can also take them out, use them to help you step into the world. If you're a sensitive with a vision, a calling, or simply you want to feel more empowered and effective as a sensitive in the world, come and join me in Sacred Sensitivity. It's a 6-week transformation program where you can map your sensitivity, build a really powerful auric radiant body. You can know who you are as a sensitive, your own unique style, nourish yourself, heal the pain and shame about being a sensitive, so that you can feel good, love who you are, enjoy being a sensitive, and step out into the world with safety, power, and presence. So if you're interested in that, the link is in the bio. If this is on Instagram, you can also find me on my website, www.myree.com.au. If you liked this interview, please like it, share it so other sensitives can feel that they can also come out of their shell or out of their little cave and come online, and leave a comment. Let us know what you thought. Thanks everyone for joining us. We love you, sensitive people.
Wait, I have a question.
Yeah,
I have a question. When does your program start, Sacred Sensitivity? I'm really looking forward to it, but I missed the date.
Yes, that's a great question. We start on the 19th of September, 2020. There's a free class that is also in the link on Instagram, and it's on my Facebook page, that you can come and have a 1-hour exploration of what makes you sensitive. So you can start to get a sense of what it's like to have a map of your subtle nature and your sensitivity. And that's going to help you to build your own platform for being in the world. So join me in the free class. And anyone who wants to heal, just come. I have a free monthly healing class every month. Come hang out there and soak out some good juju.
Yeah, your teaching is great. I mean, I'll give you that too. Like, it's amazing. I am so blown away by you. Your healing is amazing, and I'm personally really looking forward to taking part in this sensitivity course and being able to take part from the front end and also in the back end. So yeah, super exciting. This is gorgeous, and whoever is here and made it to this point, thank you for being here. And know that you are here for a reason, always.
Thank you, Julianne.
Of course.
Thank you so much for sharing so much of wisdom. I've had such a good time hanging out with you. Love you all, sensitive, awakening folks, and we'll see you again in some form or other. Join me in Sacred Sensitivity. Mwah.
We'll see you later. Bye.